Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
The quiet desperation in our bedroom was a suffocating blanket, thick with 4 years of routine. The whispers of passion had faded, replaced by the hushed hum of existence, each day mirroring the last. But sometimes, when boredom became a physical ache, my mind, Cole's mind, began to wander, to crave something more. I'm Cole, 30 years old, and my wife, Amelia, is 27. We both worked full-time, our lives a relentless pursuit of obligations from morning till night, every single day. The passion that once defined us had settled into a comfortable, almost clinical routine. Our lovemaking felt more like a scheduled obligation than a burning desire. It was then, after a rather perfunctory night of intimacy, that Amelia's whisper cut through the silence. "Honey, how about we go on a trip to clear our heads?" Her question wasn't just a simple suggestion. Her eyes held a desperate thirst to escape our monotonous routine, a thirst I realized I shared. We yearned for an escape, a crack in the monotonous facade. What we found in the sun-drenched paradise of Key West wouldn't just be a vacation. It would be an unraveling, a reawakening of desires I never knew lurked beneath the surface. This is the story of how our ordinary world shattered, and how we found ourselves in a place where inhibitions dissolved with the tide. I nodded without hesitation. I immediately applied for vacation at work and adjusted my schedule. It was our first trip in 4 years of marriage. We decided to go to Key West, Florida. It's an island famous for its beautiful beaches, luxury resorts, and activities like scuba diving and jet skiing. To save on travel costs, we decided to go on a weekday. When we arrived at Miami International Airport, I noticed several other couples looking as excited as us, enjoying their vacation. On the plane, we ended up sitting next to another couple. The man seemed a bit older than me, but what really caught my eye was his wife. The moment my eyes landed on her, a jolt, sharp and undeniable, coursed through me. Her elegance wasn't just in her features, but in the way she held herself, a quiet, contained power. I found myself stealing glances, a dangerous hum starting in my chest each time my gaze brushed hers. Though she spoke little, her eyes, cool and deep, seemed to acknowledge my stolen glances, a faint, knowing smile playing on her lips before she turned back to the window. It was enough to send a ripple of curiosity, and something more forbidden, through me. I started a conversation with her husband, Logan. He was cheerful and talkative, so we quickly got along. Interestingly, they were also on vacation and, by coincidence, staying at the same resort as us. Throughout the flight, Logan chattered away, and I kept glancing at his wife, Valerie, next to him. She quietly gazed out the window, saying almost nothing, but her stillness only intensified her striking presence. Sometimes, when she smiled, my heart felt like it plummeted. I tried to focus on Amelia, but Valerie's image lingered in my mind like a haunting afterimage. After arriving at Key West Airport, we took a taxi together to the resort. Since it was a weekday, the resort was relatively quiet, with only a few couples visible. We decided to meet up with them, change, and go for lunch. When Amelia came out dressed, I couldn't help but admire her. It had been so long since I'd seen her body looking so relaxed and at ease. Her curves were utterly captivating. Amelia was wearing a form-fitting t-shirt and short jeans that revealed her long, smooth legs. I took her hand and jokingly said, "Wow, honey, you look absolutely beautiful and full of life today. Come on, let's go get some delicious food. And after we eat, I'll show you something as wonderful and passionate as our wedding night." Amelia smiled brightly and replied, "I can't wait. Honey, let's go." We held hands tightly, laughing and chatting as we walked to the restaurant. We must have arrived a bit early, as Logan and his wife were not yet there. After a short wait, they finally appeared. Again, I couldn't tear my eyes away from Logan's wife. The vibrant yellow of her mini dress was a shock of color against her impossibly fair skin, drawing my gaze to the lush curve of her bust and the long, elegant lines of her legs. She moved with an effortless grace that was pure magnetism, and a sudden, sharp heat ignited deep within me, tightening my chest and quickening my breath. Her presence made my heart pound. It felt as if my senses had suddenly sharpened. "Oh, you two are here. Shall we order?" We began to order fresh seafood dishes and wine. We enjoyed our meal, chatting and getting to know each other. We seemed to genuinely click. I sincerely told Logan, "Logan, you're truly fortunate to have such a beautiful wife." Logan smiled broadly and replied, "Oh, you're right, Cole. The feeling's mutual. You're also incredibly lucky to have such a young, beautiful, and vibrant wife." We laughed together. His wife, Valerie, gave me a shy smile, but it was soft and gentle. Her gaze lingered on me for a moment, and in that fleeting second, complex emotions flickered across her face. Meanwhile, Amelia, my wife, smiled brightly at Logan and said, "Mr. Logan, you have a wonderful sense of humor. I bet you were really popular with women when you were younger." Logan chuckled heartily. "Haha, that's embarrassing. Those are old stories." As Amelia chatted with Logan, I discreetly glanced back at Valerie. Her face made my heart flutter and pound. She was truly an elegant beauty. Even as I joked with Logan, my attention was snared, repeatedly, by Valerie. It felt wrong, traitorous, yet I couldn't tear my mind or my eyes away. My own wife, vibrant and beautiful, sat beside me, but a new, dangerous current pulled at me, stronger than I'd ever imagined. When I dared to meet Valerie's gaze, her soft smile, though polite, held a knowing glint, a silent acknowledgement of the spark that had undeniably leaped between us. I lowered my head, feeling a bit shy, but she smiled softly again. That smile completely captivated me, leaving me at a loss for words. "The seafood is really delicious. I should eat a lot." She agreed with my comment, saying, "Yes, I'm still eating. It's truly delicious." The meal was enjoyable, and everyone looked tired. We decided to go back to our rooms to rest for a while, promising to go swimming at the beach in the afternoon, watch the beautiful sunset, and then have dinner. As soon as we returned to our room and I closed the door, I swept Amelia into my arms. She exclaimed in surprise, "Oh, honey, what's wrong?" "I'm heavy." I lifted her, her surprised gasp mingling with my own hungry growl, carrying her to the bed where our marriage had once burned with such fire. Her clothes became a barrier, impatiently discarded, as our bodies, long familiar, rediscovered their urgent language. I pressed into her, a relentless surge of desire guiding me, and her breathless moans, deep and throaty, fueled my hunger. Her body arched, yielding completely, as every touch, every thrust, brought us closer to the precipice. Sweat slicked our skin, our breaths ragged, as we moved as one, consumed by the escalating current of pleasure. The tension coiled tighter and tighter, a delicious agony, until the dam finally broke. Amelia cried out, a long, primal sound that echoed in the room, her body shuddering violently against mine. A white-hot wave crashed over me, dissolving every thought, every worry, into pure, unadulterated ecstasy. My heart hammered against my ribs, a drumbeat of release, as we collapsed, entwined, into the sweet aftermath. Afterwards, we held each other tightly and fell asleep until late afternoon. At the appointed time, we woke up, showered, and changed into our swimsuits. Amelia was wearing a sexy two-piece bikini, and her figure was truly stunning. Every curve seemed to breathe with life. She looked at me and smiled slightly. "Why are you looking at me for so long? Do I look strange?" I whispered softly, "No, honey. You look incredibly beautiful today. This outfit suits you perfectly. Let's go." When we arrived at the beach, we found a good spot, and Amelia lay down comfortably, asking me to apply sunscreen for her. I readily agreed. I squeezed some sunscreen into my hand and began to apply it to her body. From her shoulders to her arms, back, and smooth legs, Amelia's skin was as soft as velvet. Each stroke of my hand made her body subtly twitch. I suddenly realized that I hadn't given her enough attention due to work. My playful hands roamed over Amelia's body, and Amelia let out a low moan. Honey, that tickles. It's been so long since we've enjoyed this together. Just then, the other couple arrived, and I paused abruptly. My eyes fixated on his wife, Valerie. She was also wearing a two-piece bikini, and she looked incredibly sexy. Her voluptuous curves and snow-white skin were breathtaking. The glimpse of her navel and slender waistline peeking out from her bikini made it impossible to look away. In contrast to Amelia's youthful and vibrant face, Valerie exuded an elegant and composed grace. I was once again deeply impressed by her. Her alluring presence continued to swirl in my mind. Suddenly, Logan suggested, "How about a swimming race? Let's warm up first." A swimming race. Excellent. When I was younger, I used to have swimming races with friends in the local lake. It had been a while, but I was confident in my swimming abilities. And so we started. We plunged into the waves, and a fierce swimming competition between two men began. At first, we were neck and neck, but after a short while, Logan seemed to tire and gave up. We brought our wives back to the beach and had dinner together, watching the sunset over the ocean. We drank wine, cheered, and had a wonderful time. As the evening progressed, a subtle tension began to simmer beneath the surface of our convivial conversation. Logan, emboldened by the wine, leaned close to Amelia, his laughter a little too loud, his hand resting a moment too long on her arm. Amelia, for her part, seemed to bloom under his boisterous charm, a rare flush on her cheeks. I hadn't seen her sparkle like that in years, a thought that brought a strange mix of discomfort and a burgeoning curiosity. Was this what she needed? Was this what we needed? Later, she would confess to herself, though never to me, that Logan's uninhibited attention, so unlike my own often distracted presence, had stirred a long-dormant desire for simple, light-hearted flirtation. As I returned with more drinks, I saw Logan whispering something to Amelia, who giggled, covering her mouth. Valerie caught my eye across the table. Her expression was unreadable, but I sensed a shared, knowing stillness in her gaze, almost a quiet challenge. It was a fleeting moment, a ripple in our seemingly normal evening, but it made me wonder what other undercurrents might be flowing beneath Logan's jovial exterior. After dinner, Amelia said she was a bit tired and wanted to go back to the room first. I wanted to escort her, but Amelia said she was fine going alone and told me to continue eating, then headed back to our room. Dinner continued, and Logan, now completely drunk, slumped onto the table. He wasn't very good with alcohol, and his wife Valerie couldn't manage to get him back to the room by herself, so I helped her. As I laid him on the bed, Valerie sincerely thanked me. Her gaze lingered on me for a moment, and a strange current flowed between us. I felt a bit shy, but I calmly replied, "It's fine. We men often lose control when we're happy." Then she cautiously asked me, "Would you like a glass of warm water to sober up? Are you okay?" I replied, "Yes, I'm fine." I sat on the sofa and waited for her to bring the water. As she handed me the water, our hands accidentally brushed, and I felt a strong jolt, as if electricity coursed through my body. The touch of her skin sent shivers down my spine. The sensation lingered, a phantom warmth on my skin long after her hand pulled away. She blushed, a deepening crimson that I found incredibly appealing. "You're much cuter when you're flustered," I murmured, the words escaping before I could fully process their boldness. Her blush deepened, making her already alluring cheeks even more captivating. I drank the water and said, "Your husband needs to rest. I should go now." She escorted me to the door. As I took a few steps, she suddenly called out to me again, stammering, would you? Would you like to walk along the beach with me?" Her voice was cautious, but within it lay an unspoken longing. I paused for a moment to consider. I immediately sensed that this was more than just a simple walk. Yet, at the same time, I was swept away by an irresistible temptation. I nodded, agreeing. The two of us walked along the beach for a long time in silence. Only the sound of the waves filled our quietude. As we reached the end of the sandy beach, we came to a rocky area. She chose a comfortable rock and sat down. I sat beside her. She looked at me and asked, "The wind is really cool, isn't it?" I nodded lightly. She closed her eyes, savoring the wind, the fresh air, and the sound of the ocean. It felt like a world completely different from the stifling atmosphere of the workplace. When I asked, "What are you thinking about?" she hesitated for a moment, then quietly opened up. "I've been married to my husband for a long time, but we don't have children. And honestly, we haven't had sex in years. I can't find any feelings for him anymore. My husband is a playboy outside, kind and frank with other women, but not with me, his wife. We came on this trip to escape this situation." Her voice, thick with unaddressed pain, resonated deep within me. I felt a sudden, profound connection to her unspoken anguish, a surge of empathy that morphed into something far more dangerous. My hand instinctively reached for hers, intertwining our fingers. She didn't pull away. Instead, her gaze met mine in the dim light, a silent question passing between us, a desperate yearning reflected in her eyes. I impulsively pulled her close and kissed her softly. Her lips, soft and tasting of salt water and longing, ignited a wildfire within me. She responded fiercely, pulling me closer, her body molding to mine with a shocking familiarity. In that moment, the world narrowed to just us, and the audacious, exhilarating reality of what we were doing crashed over me. This was forbidden, dangerous, and utterly irresistible. And we moved deeper. Making love on the beach was truly sublime, a primal act under the vast, indifferent sky. The gritty sand, surprisingly sensual against our skin, the cool ocean breeze contrasting with the fire we ignited, everything heightened the experience. In that wild embrace of nature, she was my goddess, and I possessed her completely. Every touch, every thrust, a defiant shout against the quiet lives we led. Her body, like soft silk yet taut with desire, trembled beneath mine, and her heated breaths mingled with the roar of the waves. Every nerve ending screamed with ecstatic overload. It felt as if only the two of us existed, lost in a tidal wave of pure, unbridled sensation. When the final, overwhelming surge hit us, her long, ragged sigh of release was a symphony in my ears, as she clung to me, spent and utterly free. We were, in that moment, completely one, physically and emotionally, every repressed yearning exploding into exhilarating euphoria. After such an intense time, I held her tightly. I truly didn't want to leave her, but I knew it was realistically impossible. Then, a bold idea suddenly struck me. I cautiously asked her, "What if we swapped wives?" The words hung in the air, audacious and reckless, yet infused with the potent energy that had been building between us. Her eyes, wide with disbelief, flickered, revealing a profound clash. Years of societal conditioning warring with a desperate, buried craving for liberation. A flush of shame, quickly followed by a thrilling, dangerous blush, spread across her cheeks. She looked back at me with a startled expression, a subtle curiosity flickering in her eyes. I gently stroked her hair and said, "Don't worry. I understand what your husband thinks. Tomorrow, we'll go back to normal, as if nothing happened. I'll discuss this with your husband. We can meet again." Her eyes wavered, but soon, an intense, almost primal longing overcame her reason. "Can we really do that?" Her voice was barely a whisper, trembling with a mix of fear and an undeniable, aching curiosity. It was the question of a woman teetering on the edge, weighing years of emptiness against a single, intoxicating plunge into the unknown. She agreed with a smile. That smile contained a new sense of anticipation. We held hands and returned to the resort. As the wives, softened by the wine, began to drift into a contented haze, a hushed, almost conspiratorial energy filled the air between Valerie and me. Every glance was a silent command, every movement a shared understanding. Guiding them each to our room felt illicit, thrilling, the air crackling with unspoken potential. I gently laid Amelia on the bed and closed the door, my heart thrumming with a profound sense of anticipation. In this single room, our lives were about to intertwine in a way none of us had ever imagined. Amelia and Logan found their way to the bed, their forms now indistinct in the dim light, and though Logan was deeply inebriated, a faint, almost imperceptible murmur of "finally" escaped his lips as he settled beside Amelia, a testament perhaps to his own quiet desperation or a resigned acceptance of the night's audacious plan. While Valerie and I, driven by a raw, primal urge for the unconventional, gravitated towards the living area. The audacious thrill of exposure, of defying every ingrained norm, pushed us to explore every surface, every angle. Her body, taut yet yielding, moved against mine with an intoxicating abandon. Her heated breaths on my neck, the tangle of our limbs, the soft sounds of our shared desire. It was a symphony of forbidden pleasure, a daring dance in plain sight, yet utterly secret. Just like that, the four of us became one with a new kind of love, becoming the most intense highlight in our otherwise boring lives. The next morning at breakfast, a strange, electric current ran beneath the surface of our forced normalcy. Logan and Amelia chatted amiably, blissfully unaware of the silent storm that had passed, but Valerie's gaze found mine repeatedly. In those fleeting moments, a potent mix of shared thrill, lingering desire, and an exhilarating sense of conspiracy passed between us. It was a secret, dangerous, and intoxicating, that had forged a new, undeniable bond, fundamentally altering the landscape of our lives and desires. The dullness of yesterday was gone, replaced by a thrilling, precarious vibrancy. On the last day of our trip, a heavy quiet descended upon us. We gathered for one final meal, the air thick with unspoken things. Logan, surprisingly sober and subdued, glanced at Valerie from time to time, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Amelia, too, seemed quieter, her usual vivacity replaced by a pensive stillness. I caught her staring out at the ocean, a distant look on her face that hinted at a churning of new, perhaps unsettling, thoughts. Had this exchange awakened something within her as well? Was she merely tired, or was she, like me, grappling with the unexpected ripples of this trip? A part of her, she would later realize, felt a thrilling sense of freedom from the rigid expectations of our life back home, a quiet awakening to possibilities she hadn't dared to consider. Valerie's hand found mine under the table, a gentle, reassuring squeeze. Our eyes met, a world of shared secrets passing between us, the electrifying moments, the vulnerability, the audacious leap into the forbidden. Neither of us wanted this to end. The thought of returning to our normal lives, to the quiet desperation that had brought us here, was almost unbearable. Was this just a temporary escape, a fleeting indulgence, or had we shattered a boundary that could never truly be rebuilt? The answer felt both exhilarating and terrifying, a volatile question mark hanging over our journey back home, leaving us to wonder where these newly awakened desires would irrevocably lead.